This happens to a lot of people. When you go to a concert and you have a really good time, a lot of people say that after it ends, they get post-concert depression. And it's like the happiness and the joy that you get from the concert is just so extreme that the crash back down to regular life is just almost unbearable, and it makes you feel hopeless and sad, right? Of course, this probably happens more extreme for some people than others. It probably depends on whether or not you're happy with your regular life. I know that for me, I went to my first concert a year ago, and at that time I was really unhappy with my life. I was crying a lot. I had no friends, as I've discussed in one of my other videos. And I went to this concert and it was the happiest moment of my life. And when I got home, I was so sad that it was over. I was distraught and I cried a little bit, more than once, just like wishing that I could go back. And I went to another tour this year, just a couple of months ago. And I think that the post-concert depression that time was a lot less because I am at a happier stage in my life. So I definitely think that that has something to do with it, although I was still sad, of course, because, you know, it's like a specific moment that you can't experience anywhere else, I guess. I'm kind of curious if this tends to be something that happens maybe stronger for neurodivergent people. I don't know, but I will say that I went to a comedy show recently. Shoot from the Hip, if you know them. I had a hyperfixation on them this time last summer, and then in the meantime when it went down, I was just casually enjoying their content. And then I saw them live last month and the hyperfixation came back even stronger. Okay, it came back very, very strong, and I've been rewatching all of their content that I've already seen and just having the time of my life, to be honest. But after that show that I saw them live in, I felt so like happy, like ridiculously happy in that moment. Like it felt like my serotonin levels were hitting the roof. And I feel like it might be that neurodivergent people are more prone to hitting that ceiling, it feels like, of serotonin levels from the things they enjoy, because I feel like neurodivergent people tend to enjoy the things that they enjoy to extreme levels. You know what I mean? Yeah, I guess when it comes to the things that you enjoy as a neurodivergent people, I think that your emotions are heightened. So when you're enjoying something, you're really enjoying it. And then when you're not enjoying something, or when you're upset about something, it hits you hard. Another example I can give is, for me personally, the game Life is Strange, which I was obsessed with that game. And I still love it dearly, but I am not like I was a couple of years ago. I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I was watching loads of different people play the game, okay? I was obsessed with it, and when the game would end, I would get hit with a wave of, I think they actually call it post-Life is Strange depression or something, I don't know, but I would get hit with a sadness so strong that I felt like the only way to overcome it was to just start watching it again from the beginning. So I found myself in a loop of continuously watching the game over and over and over again. Most people would be tired after like one time. Literally, they'd be like, well, I just saw it, I don't need to see it again, I'm bored of it. Of course, for me, if I didn't, then I would have to overcome this hurdle of sadness, and I really didn't want to overcome it. I would just much rather keep watching it over and over again. So I spent so many times. The full game is 10 hours long, by the way. I have watched that game so many times. When I actually think about how many different people I've watched play the game, and the fact that the game is 10 hours long, I feel like I must have seen at least 300 minimum hours of that game. Like, in a small space of time, I feel like, honestly, I feel like it was probably 1 year that I saw 300 hours of this game that was basically the same thing over and over again. So yeah, I feel like definitely the experience is heightened for neurodivergent people, but I think, well, I don't know if it's serotonin that you get from like drugs. So I think that if it is, then obviously we know that you can get addicted to that. But I think in a different case, when it's something that you enjoy that's not necessarily a drug, but just like an interest or some, you know, something that you do that makes you really, really happy, in a way it's kind of like becoming addicted to a drug, in my opinion. Because, okay, well, they say, right, they say serotonin is a drug, right? Do they say that? I don't know if they say that. I think they say that. I had to look up the difference between serotonin and dopamine before making this video, so I knew which one to say. But yeah, I think you can definitely become addicted to it like it is a drug. And so for me, when I came back from the comedy show that I went to see, I immediately felt so sad that it was over that I immediately started thinking, when is the next one that I can go? When is the next time I can experience this kind of happiness? And when I came home and I was talking to my dad about it, that's the way I described it. I described it as, I wish that I could just experience this level of happiness all the time. And because it was a comedy show, of course I was laughing, and I was like, I just want to be laughing like that all the time. And to be honest, that's how you get addicted to drugs. Like, you get addicted to the feeling and the state of mind that the drug puts you in. And so the state of mind that you get put in when doing something you love, be it going to a concert, going to a comedy show, or something else, I feel like when you get addicted to that, I mean, when you get addicted to drugs, not only is it ruining your body, but it's also you spending money on it. So that puts a lot of people in bad positions. But I think it honestly could be the same with events, because I can just see how you can easily become so obsessed that you just let all of your money drain, and you're not even thinking about the fact that it's a financially irresponsible decision to make. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think a lot of K-pop stars do this. Now that I'm thinking about it. And to be honest, my concert that I went to in January, I spent a lot of money on that. I was hell-bent on it. I was like, you know what? I already knew that I was going to spend a lot of money, because I'd already internally, like, committed to the decision. I went to 2 concerts in January this year, and for one of them I travelled to Amsterdam, and for the other one I travelled a couple hours to London. So I went to 2 concerts, which again, I already think is like a sign of the effects of serotonin, right? Because after last year's experience, I was like, well, 1 is clearly not enough, because after I went to 1, I was so upset that I couldn't do it again. So this time I need to do 2. And you know, it kind of just built. So, and I was just fortunate to have savings to use on that. But yeah, I think a lot of K-pop bands do this and end up in debt. And people are like, how can they afford to go to so many shows? And the truth is that they can't. But I think it is, for some people, just genuinely so addicting that they give into it. So I don't know, that's just something that I was thinking about. I never really thought about it like that, but I guess it is an addiction in a way. Anyway, yeah, well, after the comedy show I was also drunk, so that might be why I immediately was like, I'm gonna buy tickets to another show. But I think regardless of that, I mean, I'm still looking at where I can manage to see other shows. So even beyond that, sober, fully sober and in control of my thoughts, I'm like, I need to know when is the next time that I can see them again. So, you know, I've been looking like which shows are feasible, which shows are possible, which ones can I make, what is financially within reason, you know? So I think it's a really important thing to keep a handle on, and just be aware that serotonin is a drug. And so you don't just have to be careful of drug addiction, but you also have to be careful of hobby maxing, interest maxing. Guys, be responsible. I'm talking to myself. No one's even watching these.